Did you know that 90% of new guitar players quit within the first year? I know it's a pretty rough stat, but after 30 years of teaching and helping thousands in my online guitar community, I've seen firsthand what actually keeps guitar players on track, making real progress. So in this video, I'm laying out 7 steps beginner guitar players need to do in order to build solid habits and stay motivated. Without these steps, you could just end up going through the motions, playing songs that don't sound right, and wondering why it's not making sense. So stick around and I'll share with you a simple tip at the end that'll keep you inspired and help you to move forward no matter what the challenges that may come up. One quick note, I will not be teaching you what to do step by step here. That'll be a 4-hour video. But if there's anything you'd like me to take a deep dive lesson on, just let me know in the comments. I offer a free complete beginner's curriculum with a step-by-step plan and video lessons available in my guitar community, Kerry's Camp. Find the link below. All right, first up, let's talk gear. Choosing the right guitar. So you're ready to get started, and I bet the first thing that comes to your mind is, what kind of guitar should I get? Now, there are tons of brands, different styles, different colors, different sizes, and different price ranges. You name it, it's enough to make your head spin. Here's my advice. Stick with what you can afford. My first guitar was something that was a no-name brand that my parents picked up from Sears. And trust me, it definitely got the job done. And you may be asking, should I have an electric or an acoustic? Honestly, it doesn't make a huge difference at this stage. Just pick what you like and what's good for your budget. What kind of guitar are you playing right now or thinking about buying? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to know. Let's talk about holding your guitar. Getting comfortable with your guitar is everything. Here's how to find the perfect sweet spot with your guitar. First thing you want to do is you want to take your guitar and you want to rest it on your knee and you want to slide it close to your body. And you want to look for that natural curve and just rest your arm over it effortlessly over the top. When you hit this spot, it's like the guitar becomes an extension of you. No straining, just balance and comfort. Now, if you get this wrong, things can go downhill quickly. Imagine holding it out too far and your arms are stretched awkwardly or your wrists are twisted in an odd angle. Not exactly smooth or natural, right? And if you're using a strap, you don't want to wear it too high. You're not playing an accordion, and you definitely don't want it to hang too low around your knees. Now let's talk about taking care of your guitar. So think of your guitar like a car. It's going to need regular maintenance and you want to keep it clean. So you just got to wipe it down. You don't need any fancy oils or anything like that. And here's where I'm going to go against most of my YouTubers, what they tell you. Don't leave it sitting out all of the time. Sure, leaving it out may make it easy for you to grab whenever the spirit hits you and you decide you want to play. And that sounds great in theory. But if you got kids, pets, or friends that are stopping by, it's just a little too tempting for you just to leave it sitting out in the open. Trust me, the last thing you want is for your dog to think it is a chew toy, or your toddlers to grab it with their peanut buttery fingers right after snack time, or even worse, you accidentally knock it over. I've had that happen to me too many times, and I'm telling you, like, your heart will stop. So just keep the guitar in a case or somewhere where it's safe, to where it won't be scratched or bumped or mysteriously sticky. And here's a tip for storing. You want to keep it in a cool, dry room, away from extreme heat or extreme cold. Trust me, your guitar is going to thank you. All right, step 2, learning guitar basics. First thing you need to do is you need to know the names of the strings. Picture each string like it's its own unique voice, from the thickest to the thinnest. We have E, A, D, G, B, and E. Now that might be a lot to remember, but here's a little trick. Every average dude gets better every day. Next, we want to tune our guitar. Every time that we play, we got to make sure our guitar is in tune. Getting your guitar to be in tune is to make sure that it speaks clearly. Imagine singing along with your favorite song, but every note that you hit just sounds a little bit off, like it's close, but something's wrong. The sound is muddy, it doesn't connect, and you feel this weird tension immediately. Tuning will fix that. It makes sure that each string is working together as a team. Think of it as wearing these perfect shoes, right? You have one that's too tight, so every time that you take a step, it feels off. It feels like something's out of sync. So here's how you tune up your guitar. You want to play the string, adjust your tuning pegs, and keep checking until the sound is clear and steady. And when you get it right, you'll know each note will sound just like it should, like your guitar is finally speaking the same language. But when it's out of tune, trust me, you'll hear it right away. Your chords won't even blend. Instead, they'll create this weird, harsh sound that's going to be very jarring. It's going to throw the whole thing off. So make sure that you keep everything in tune. Tuning really does make a difference. All right, let's get into step 3. Pick or finger. Now it's time for you to start strumming your guitar. Should you use a pick or should you use your finger? Since you're new to guitar, I think it's best that you decide what's best for you. When I started playing guitar in church and playing R&B, I used to use a pick and it gave me the tones that I needed for that genre. So try both and decide what feels best for you. Now, it's worth mentioning that there are pros and cons to both. And if you're using your fingers, you will have better control over each and every note while you're playing, which will add a soft, natural touch. But the con is when you're using your fingers, you're going to get finger fatigue and soreness, especially if you're just starting out. Now, when you use a pick, you'll create a much richer tone and generally a louder tone, giving each note more presence. But the con is it's going to be harder to switch between single strings quickly, especially when you're playing single notes or muted chords. After a while, if you kind of figure out one isn't working, just switch to the other. Step 4, knowing the fretboard. Okay, now that we're getting the hang of things, it's time to start learning our way around the fretboard. Think of music as a language and the notes are the letters. Start with the E and A string, and if you master these, you'll speed up your learning by years. I teach this in my online community, Kerry's Camp, and maybe I'll create a lesson in the future. If that's something that you'd like for me to do, just let me know in the comments. Let's get into step 5, major 7 and minor 7 chords. All right, once you get familiar with the fretboard, it's time to start adding some chords. This next step is learning a major 7 and a minor 7 chord shape on the E and A string. These chords are going to open up a whole world of songs to you. Let's get into step 6, using a metronome. Ever wonder why some of your favorite guitar players sound so polished? It's not just that they're hitting the right notes, it's that they're hitting them at the exact time. Poor timing can make good notes sound sloppy, while exact notes let each note flow from one to the next. It helps you sound better, and that's where the metronome comes in. It keeps you in rhythm so your playing feels smooth and put together. Now, if you don't use it, you're going to develop bad timing habits without even realizing it. You could end up rushing through parts of a song or either falling behind, making your music sound choppy and uneven. And if you're playing along with others, your rhythms might not sync up, creating a mess and everything sounds offbeat. So how do you use a metronome in order to help you stay in rhythm? You practice, which leads me to my next step. All right, step number 7, practice. But what should I be practicing? That's a great question. Imagine driving your car, and every time that you shift, you need it to be smooth. Otherwise, the ride is going to feel rough. One of the first things that'll make you sound like you know what you're doing is learning to move smoothly between chords. Let's start with the major 7 and the minor 7 chords. With your metronome, start at a slow pace, like 50 BPMs. Using the E string and the A string, go from a major 7 to a minor 7, making sure that you're on beat. But you want smooth transitions as you move from one chord to the next. It's about learning to flow smoothly between chords so that there are no awkward pauses. You want to start slow, focusing on each finger placement and build up until you don't even think about what you're doing as you transition from chord to the next chord because it feels so natural. Trust me, you'll get there. It's going to take a little bit of time, but you're going to eventually get there. And here's the big why. If you skip this step, your playing will sound choppy no matter how well you know the chords. But if you nail down these transitions, you'll be miles ahead, even if you're playing something as a simple song, right? You now have a roadmap of what to focus on. But if there's anything you'd like for me to dig deeper into, just let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to create a full lesson on whatever's going to make a difference in your playing. You've got an understanding of what the basics are, so what's next? Well, it's time to start learning chord progressions. Think of chords as the words and chord progressions as the sentences. Now you're really playing music, but there's one big concept to nail down first. And once you've got it, becoming a better guitarist is almost a sure thing, and I'll explain it here.